Allow me to extend a warm welcome to all the viewers on the internet and around the world. It is sunrise on YouTube, morning on Facebook, noon on Twitter, midday on Threads, afternoon on Twitch, sunset on Instagram, and evening on Rumble. I am your host, the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts. We are broadcasting live directly from the sanctum of solitude and the citadel at the end of time. Sun Tzu says, an army may march great distances without distress if it marches through country where the enemy is not. You can be sure of succeeding in your attacks if you only attack places which are undefended. You can ensure the safety of your defense if you only hold positions that cannot be attacked. In making tactical dispositions, the highest pitch you can attain is to conceal them. Conceal your dispositions, and you will be safe from the prying of the subtlest spy and the machinations of the wisest brain. Good evening, everyone. I am the Ancient One. I am the Bachelor Supreme. I am the Phantom Menace. I am he who remains and the master of these deceptive arts. And today, I wanted to talk about secrets and the power behind keeping those secrets, especially the power behind keeping your vasectomy a secret. Then while I was meditating on these words, I came to an epiphany and a realization, and I realized that the same fervor, passion, and intensity, and indeed determination that we have about securing ourselves, our livelihood, and our vasectomy, that in fact the counterpart has the same fervor, passion, intensity, and determination with keeping her secret affairs secret. That is why affairs and indiscretions are so hard to discover and uncover. It's really got nothing to do with your personal intelligence or your perceptive abilities. Rather, it has to do with the amount of time and effort that people put into protecting their secrets and into defending their lies. People work very hard to hide their indiscretions, and they are determined not to get caught for the fear of consequences, reprisals, and even revenge. And part of that revenge can include abandonment. You see, nothing makes a counterpart feel more confident than knowing that they have won the affections of someone that they are not worthy of, or someone that they don't deserve, right? When they say things like, unconditional love, it's an indication that this is a flawed person who wants you to overlook their flaws unconditionally, right? So, by contrast, nothing deflates the unearned ego of a counterpart more and faster and better than just leaving her. Even worse is never talking to her again. You see, when you come back to these people, despite how angry you are and what you say, your actions betray you. Your actions betray your words and betray your intentions. Because you can say, I'm so angry at you, and yet here you are feeding them. You can say, I don't want nothing to do with this, and then yet here you are staying, right? You can say, I would never tolerate this, and then here you are tolerating it, right? This contradiction lets her know that one, you are willing to overlook her faults, even if it upsets you. And two, you are willing to overlook your own instincts. So you'll see that something is wrong and you won't walk away. You'll stay there and receive abuse, right? This tells her that you will overcome anything in her defense, even her own indiscretion, right? So, in pondering the effects of secrets on on the human condition, I found that in fact they can be a great motivator. So, a person who really wouldn't have been spurred into any kind of action, once they've done something wrong and they want to hide that, they will go into hyperactivity, right? They'll do anything, go to any measure, put up any effort in order to hide their indiscretions, right? So it's not just a great motivator, but it's also a great bonding agent for those people that share the secret. So there are some men, or there is a man, or some person out there who genuinely wants to get a vasectomy, and they won't get the motivation that they need. And you will find yourself secretly wanting this and gravitating to this type of content. I was one such person where I secretly wanted the vasectomy. And I knew for years that I wanted to get a vasectomy. And freezing my sperm is the thing that really dissuaded my doubt the most, right? It was when I thought about freezing my sperm, then I knew for sure I was getting a vasectomy, right? But having researched it over and over and over again, and one of the places that I went to was this platform here, YouTube, which is pretty much, I think, the only platform that I will name because I'm loading videos on that platform, and it is in my interest to keep, not only just the platform profitable and alive, but also to maintain its positive reputation, right? So I'll definitely be naming YouTube all day long. But I did come onto YouTube and other platforms, and really I was looking for like-minded people, right? People who either had a vasectomy or wanted a vasectomy, but I was looking specifically for vasectomites, right? People who had had a vasectomy without a wife and kids. And there were a few of them, but their information was quite vague. So while I was doing my research, it motivated me. Having the secret motivated me. It's still motivating me right now. And I didn't have anyone who was talking about this issue consistently enough. And knowing that I am talking about it consistently enough, there are some men out there who will bond with this information and this platform, before, during, and after the vasectomy, because you're really looking for something that, quite frankly, isn't there. If you're looking for a medical perspective on a vasectomy, you're going to find a ton of stuff. But there's really nobody who's going to talk to you about the social aspects of it. After I get it, should I talk about it? Should I tell anyone about it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not, right? This is our secret, right? And if we do, somehow manage to bond over this secret, the better, right? Because you will carry this secret all by yourself, and it can turn out to be a heavy burden. You think about it all the time, right? You think about it all the time, and and so in all of my attempts, I came across a it reminded me rather of one of my favorite quotes from the Darth Plagueis novel. Now, some of you might be familiar with the Star Wars franchise, and if you are disappointed in the movies for some reason, I'd like you to know that you're not alone. Those movies are absolutely disappointing. And I say that because I have actually read some of the novelizations, and those books are magnificent. If you are looking for a truly gripping novel that you want to spend time with, that is it's far fetched in some ways because it is a work of fiction, but it's truly worth your while to read, and I won't spoil it too much for you, right? But if you're disappointed in the movies, you absolutely should be, right? Your disappointment is justified because the novelizations are epic and quite unrivaled, dare I say, in the genre of literature. And this is because the novels focus so much on the motivations behind the cruelty and the abnormality and the unusual actions that are taken from both the benevolent and the dishonorable characters. There's two sides of this equation, and they both do tremendously devastating things to each other. But knowing what their true motivations are is really endearing on both sides, right? Like they really both make valid points and have a real reason to carry out their ambitions, and seeing them succeed and fail in what feels like a genuine way is quite endearing, right? And one of the motivations behind particularly this novelization, the Darth Plagueis novelizations, which is really one of my favorite books. It's a magnificent book, one of the most magnificent books in the series, and I've read many books in the series. So you know, it's highly recommended, the Darth Plagueis novelization. But one of those motivations in these stories is keeping dangerous secrets, right? And in a powerful moment of tutelage, Darth Plagueis, who is the Dark Lord of the Sith, strengthens his apprentice, who is known as Darth Sidious. He strengthens with his resolve with a very specific analogy. So, so Darth Plagueis says to his apprentice, he says, "Consider the mindset of an anarchist who plans to sacrifice himself for a cause. For the weeks, months, possibly years leading up to the day he straps a thermal detonator to his chest and executes his task. He has lived in and been strengthened by the secret he carries, knowing the toll his act will take. So it has been for the Sith, residing in sacred places of knowledge for 1,000 years and knowing the toll our acts will take. This is power, Sidious. These are the words from Darth Plagueis, right? He says that the anarchist has lived in and been strengthened by the secret that he carries, planning it for weeks, months, possibly years. Years people can live with these secrets, right? Consider then that the counterpart has the same determination as an anarchist with a thermal detonator strapped to their chest. This is how they see the damaging effects of their secrets. And this is indeed the damaging effect of a vasectomy. Just keeping that secret lives with you. You can't help but carry it with you, right? And act out those actions that are associated with the toll that this action can take. Because it does take a toll, there is a consequence to this. This is why you gotta freeze the sperm first and then get the vasectomy, right? But consider that the counterpart also knows the toll and the damage that their secrets will have on their family, their finances, their relationships, and their survival. And to many of them, they can take those secrets to the grave. You've seen circumstances where men are raising children that are not their own. And the counterpart will just continue as if everything is normal for years. You'll find out 12 years, 15 years later that this child is not yours. Now, consider the ramifications if you are a child. Imagine you're 12, 13, 14 years old, and you find out the truth. You find out that, the person you thought was your father isn't your father. Now, if you have a loving family dynamic, which is peaceful and harmonious, this in itself can be a shock. But if your parents aren't getting along anyway, imagine being instantly kicked out as soon as he finds out the kid is not his and is not tied in any sort of legal way to the mother. He's going to kick them out. Now imagine as a kid coming home from school, finding out that your dad is not your dad, your parents are in it, right? They are in it, knee deep, and your dad is telling you, hey, you guys gotta go. Or the man you thought was your dad is telling you, you have to go, right? Imagine being told you have to leave, right? Imagine being told he's not your father anymore, right? Imagine being told you gotta change your school, you gotta leave your bedroom, right? You gotta take all your stuff and you don't know where you're taking it, right? Imagine if you have a loving dad, and then being told, that now all of a sudden you have to go and embrace a complete degenerate, an addict, a criminal, uneducated, unemployed man, right? This is your substitute. You now leave a father who loved you, cared for you, planned for you, had an education plan, wanted to see you be a great athlete, but also be a great student so you can fulfill your full potential. And suddenly, that guy is gone, and you're never going to see him again, right? And then your substitute is somebody who, quite frankly, your mother knew wasn't capable of raising a child to begin with. That's why he found somebody else. That's why she found somebody else, I beg your pardon, right? Imagine being the kid in that situation. And this all happens in one day. You came home from school. By the time the sun sets, you've been kicked out of your house. And now, it's getting late. You're probably still hungry from school, and your mom has no choice but to take you to your real dad. And then you see exactly where you come from, and it's terrible. And it's absolutely terrible. And in that moment, you'll understand why your mother did what she did, why she went and found a man who can actually raise a kid rather than raising you here. I mean, there's a part of you that will appreciate that sacrifice, but man, that's a tough situation. And this is a real situation that happens all the time. I mean, the minute, if you're spending a ton of money going into debt, working overtime to feed your family, frustrated by these bills, a woman is complaining that she wants to go on vacation every day, and you find out that this isn't your kid, you're going through all this, and she's busy demanding vacations while you going through all this for a kid that isn't yours. She has the audacity to tell you that she wants to go on a cruise. I mean, as soon as you find this out, and now you're trying to imagine you're trying to balance out, paying your bills, raising a kid, and planning a cruise. How are you going to budget all that? And then you find out that this kid, your biggest, worst expense, isn't even yours. I mean, you're kicking them out. You're absolutely not care. You're not going to raise this kid for another day. There's no way. There's no way you're going to keep raising that kid for another day, especially if the father's around the corner or down the street. But that won't matter, right? That won't matter because it's not your problem, right? It's really not your problem. Now, I understand, shame, you built a home, but you built a home thinking it was for your child. You didn't build a home for another man's child. Let him go build that. Like the kid can leave the stuff, you go find your own family and then bring them in and they can use the stuff because that was the plan, to raise your kid, not another man's kid. And she knew all along that you wanted to raise your own kids. You said, this was my boy, this was my girl. You didn't say, well, I'm the stepfather stepping up. No, no, that wasn't the plan, right? And all this can happen in one day. And the counterpart knows this. She knows that you find out, and the minute you find out, it's all over. Like there's not gonna be some transitional period, 30 days reprieve. No, no, it's over instantly, right? And even if you do find out, they'll only tell you like a small part of their deception, and they'll cover up the rest, right? So you must have the same determination, the same passion, and the same intensity for your secrets, and especially for having your vasectomy, right? So to the point where if a counterpart even claims that, the paternity of your child, that it's your child, rather demand a DNA test and pay that small amount for a DNA test rather than exposing the permanence of your vasectomy. Because technically you'll be doing the same thing. You'll be proving that the child is not yours. And in fact, if they don't believe that you got a vasectomy, they're going to want a DNA test anyway. So you might as well just do that and keep your vasectomy a secret. Either way, it'll prove that the child's not yours, right? And what we're going to do today is we're going to look at the common secrets, the common things that people are hiding from you, people are hiding from each other, and possibly you, not possibly, definitely you are hiding one or more of these from everybody else. The article, as you can see on the screen, is entitled "The Most Common." It's not really an article. It's a list. It's just a long list of secrets and some of their description. It's not an article. It comes from keepingsecrets.org, a website that I discovered recently, and there's no author. Sadly, we can't give any credit to the author, and it is entitled "The Most Common Secrets People Keep." I cannot remember when this list was put out. I should have had that information on hand, but yeah, I don't. So let's jump right into it. On your screen, you should see a list of secrets. I believe they are in alphabetical order. There are about just under 40 of them, about 38 of them I counted, but I could have counted wrong. But I counted around 38 to 40 of these. The first secret is an abortion. Wow. And the description of the secret is that it has to be a she. She had an abortion. So that's something that people are going to keep away from you if she's done that. She's not going to share that information with you. Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. And it's usually so. I don't know if it means that if it's your baby and she aborts the baby, or let me rather say early terminates the baby. I don't know if that's what they mean, or she had an early termination and you are now somebody who meets her at a different time in life. This is not clear. Possibly both situations are possible. Ambition is the next one. Uh, Kept a secret ambition, secret plan, or secret goal for yourself. This is absolutely me. I keep secret ambitions, plans, and goals all the time. Um, Financial ones, social ones, even ones that I'm still thinking about, things that aren't actually plans, just little, desires, little ambitions that I might have, and I'll definitely keep them a secret from you because they might involve you, right? And you might not know, and in fact, knowledge and agreement is not a prerequisite of participation. People can participate in things that they don't agree with at all, and they probably do it all the time. So yeah, I have that. Belief, ideology, I also have that. I keep that. Kept a belief secret, for example, political views, religious views, views about social groups, and prejudice. This is so me, right? Complete dislike of marriage, the institution. Oh, I hate everything about marriage. I really do. And the lies about it. Oh, so many lies about it. Definitely don't want to have no kids. I'm a vasectomite and I can't go around saying that to people. Um, Political views, religious views, all of that, I absolutely hiding all of that. Because I'm a true believer in the bachelor life. And there aren't many circumstances in theology that lend themselves to this type of lifestyle. So, I'm holding on to my beliefs and ideology, and you can hold on to yours. And in the end, we'll see what happens if you don't get that vasectomy. Counter normative. It says here an unusual behavior. Okay, so a counter normative behavior, if you have some type of quirk. I suppose being as antisocial as I am is counter normative, you know. I am thinking about participating in a meaningful way in society. But to me, it would have to be nothing more than theater. I'd just have to be standing there encouraging people to get into relationships knowing the outcome is going to be a pandemonium, right? Maybe I should just go in there and encourage everyone to start dating again. Let's see what happens if I do that. But in my heart, I'm completely against the practice. It's just there's really no point to it ultimately, and you'll see for yourself. Go ahead and try it, and you'll see for yourself. But I do have counter-normative, unusual behaviors. Many of them. Drug use, used illegal drugs or abused, addicted to illegal drugs, alcohol, painkillers, illicit substances. People will keep this away from you, absolutely. They will keep current and past drug use away from you, right? So that you believe something, about them. But I would argue that many people have experimented with drugs and will continue to do so, right? There's no such thing as a former drug addict. That I can absolutely tell you. And there's no such thing as somebody who's gotten over it. You either you know you just haven't done it in a long time. That's the truth of it. But you're not over it. You absolutely there's no such thing as cure for addiction. That I can absolutely guarantee. Emotional infidelity, and I assume this is all infidelity. So if people have become attracted to somebody else, right? Or they're building an emotional bond with somebody else, they won't tell you, right? So it says committed emotional infidelity, not involving actual sexual infidelity. Okay, so this is aside from that. For example, having an inappropriate emotional connection with someone or engaging in something other than sex, such as flirting, kissing, etc. To me, kissing is part of sexual activity, as is flirting, right? So, yeah, infidelity of any kind. If you're cheating, that's a problem. That's a real problem. And the fact that you're not doing it out in the open is an indication that you know that it's a problem. That's why you're keeping it a secret. And you know that it's not a matter of, in truth, it's not a matter of embarrassing the other guy, right? Like your embarrassment is a small consequence compared to you leaving her with all these bills and all these kids. Like that, like this is something that no counterpart ever admits. They never ever say that my man cheated on me and we stayed together, and as soon as I cheated on him he left me. They won't say that she cheated and then he left, right? Because when if you did it, the consequences for her are minor. You cheat and you buy her a gift. She cheats, she's out in the streets, homeless, destitute. Absolutely. Right? This is the difference. The consequences are absolutely different. I mean, if it wasn't different, then why doesn't she just leave? Why doesn't she just say, "Okay, I have somebody else. I'm gone. I'm leaving." Right? She rather cheat and then keep the cheating a secret so that you don't find out about it, because when you do and you say, "I'm out," there's consequences to that. But if she says, "I'm leaving," honestly, nothing changes. In fact, what happens is you end up with more money. You really end up with more money, because even if you're paying rent and you're paying for the car by yourself, the fact that you don't have an extra mouth to feed is a tremendous relief, right? Employment, right? Kept secret, a job or employment that you have, or school activity. I absolutely can keep my employment a lie, right? I keep most things a lie. So I think most people will keep their employment a lie. Or they'll tell you that they do something better, or they'll embellish their position, right? So one of my cover stories is I'll tell people that I'm a divorce lawyer, and we'll end up talking about this very issue. And I will go from divorce law to trying to convince them to get a vasectomy, right? So they'll believe that in fact they're getting sound social advice from somebody who knows. But we're just talking about deception. But absolutely don't tell people what you do for a living. Do not tell people where you work. Do not. I made that mistake and discovered that what happens is that when they can't find you at home, they'll come at your job, right? So they'll come at you in a place where you can't ignore them, and then they'll go out of their way to embarrass you. So don't tell people what you do. Come up, just tell them you're a lawyer. You know what? Nobody even knows what lawyers do, to be honest with you. Nobody really knows what lawyers do. Only lawyers know what lawyers do, right? Everybody knows what a doctor does. Everybody knows what a teacher does. Everybody knows what people in the shops do, shop manager. We all know what these people do. We know what drivers do, but nobody really knows what a lawyer does, right? So you can say I'm a divorce lawyer and I work out contracts. Nobody's going to really know, right? Unless they themselves are a divorce lawyer, in which case, lie some more, right? But don't tell people what your job is. Extra relational thoughts. Thought about having relations with another person while already in a relationship. I think everybody kind of does this, especially when they are intimate with their partner. You think about somebody else, right? But you don't want that person to know that you're thinking about somebody else, and you don't want them to know who you're thinking about. So that's like an extra deception. But I think a lot of people do that. But in truth, it just means that you're just not attracted to the person that you're with. It just means that you may have had, or you might be attracted to them, but you're probably attracted to somebody else, and which means you're probably losing attraction for the person that you are with now. Family detail. Have you ever kept a detail about your family secret? I think people keep a lot of secrets about their families. I mean, families are just tragic places, if I have to be honest with you. Most of the bad things that are going to happen to you in life are going to either happen to you at school, at work, or at home with your family, where you spend the most amount of time. Right, that's really where the bad things are going to happen to you. So there are a lot of family secrets, right? There are a lot of family secrets, things that you don't know that people have done to each other to stab each other in the back out of jealousy, right? It gets really bad in some families. Like there are siblings who really don't talk to each other at all because they went too far with that sibling rivalry nonsense. They really go too far with all that. But you have a lifetime to feel disapproval of someone if you're in a family, right? So that kind of resentment can build up very quickly. Finances. Oh, yes, people keep their finances. Absolutely true. People are secret, right? So they'll keep their finances secret either because they have a lot of money, more money than you think, or they don't have any money at all, right? Keep secret details about finances or amount of money you have, right? So it's either you don't have a lot or you don't have, or you do have a lot and you don't want people's problems. But you should absolutely keep your money a secret. Absolutely. Our next secret is habit or addiction. I think this is similar to drug use, right? That we talked about in the previous page. So they are a little bit repetitive. Had a habit or addiction, but not involving drugs. Okay, so it's something that doesn't involve drugs. What is that? Alcohol, right? So there are like certain habits that people have. So it's maybe smoking, alcohol, illicit substances, or like food, like you like to eat a lot of food, and intimacy, right? Intimacy is a big one that people, as much as people say they're addicted to it, I think it's really a mental and psychological addiction to intimacy because you're only getting it 8 times a month, but you're thinking about it all the time. So it's really in your head, right? Hidden relationships, so secret affair. Have you ever hid a current relationship or kept a past relationship secret? So people do this all the time. They won't tell you about all their exes. They might tell you about some or the more prominent ones, but they won't tell you about other relationships that they've had. And you shouldn't. In truth, you should be having all these. In fact, if you have a habit, I suggest you keep that a secret. If you have a drug use or something like that, I suggest you keep that a secret. Like, even if you are seeking help, right? This is not to imply that you shouldn't seek help, but you shouldn't be telling everyone about it and talking about it. I know it's in the back of your mind. Just start a channel. so you can express yourself. I have the same thing. I have the vasectomy in the back of my mind all the time, right? And especially every time I've been intimate with someone, I just can't wait for them to come and tell me that they're pregnant. I cannot wait to put it into use, although the opportunity hasn't presented itself yet. Nobody's come and said that I'm the father, but I can't wait for that day, right? But you should definitely keep bad things about yourself a secret, especially if you're working on improving yourself. And once you've done the work, don't tell people that you've worked on improving yourself, because then they're going to want to know what the problem is, right? So, yeah, people keep like relationships and those kinds of things. I suppose if people want to know, you'll say, yeah, maybe I was in a relationship, but don't tell people that about your affairs and your cheating. Nobody wants to know that. Nobody wants to know that they're engaging with a person who cheats and lies, and that's the biggest lie, right? So you have to lie and act like you are not a liar. And that's really the best part of lying, right? Lying without lying. A hobby. Have you ever hid a hobby or possession? So people who have firearms might do this, right? If your hobby involves something dangerous like a firearm or something like that. But most hobbies you'll keep a secret only if your partner indicates disapproval. So if you're a guy who likes video games and your partner says video games are childish, or you collect collectible figurines and such, and your partner will indicate disapproval. You'll only keep that a secret if you like it, but you still want to keep your partner. But if you don't want to keep your partner, you won't really care if they know about your hobbies or if it's a dangerous one. I suppose I have many hobbies, and I discuss them quite openly, because it's not really a problem. And what are you gonna insult someone for reading? Really, I don't know. But the counterpart has no bottom. The counterpart has no bottom. They'll insult you for anything. They'll insult you for going to the gym. I've seen it happen, right? Illegal, engaged in something illegal, other than drugs or stealing. I wonder what that could be. But there's so many things that are illegal that people do all the time. Right, especially if you start traveling around the world, you discover people are committing all kinds of crimes. Right, if you've done something illegal, I suggest you stop. Don't do that again. If you've gotten away with it, don't do it again, because they're gonna catch you. And don't tell anyone. Man, if you've broken the law and you got away with it, and you have no intention of doing it again, just keep it to yourself, man. Just don't say anything. You know, just don't say anything. You gotta keep these things a secret. With determination and passion, man, you gotta keep your secrets strong. You have to keep your secrets, especially from the people that you love, right? Because they're just trying to build up a case against you. A lack of sex, absolutely. People lie all the time about how much intimacy they're getting. Kept secret, a lack of having sex, i.e., it is that you are not, or were not, having sex at some point. So bachelors, we do monk mode all the time, right? You'll get into an encounter and you'll be exhausted by the encounter, and you'll take a few weeks, sometimes a few months. Some bachelors go years out of the game. I've been years out of the game sometimes. It's nothing to me. I'm a bachelor for life. But I will admit that in those times when I'm not pursuing intimacy, the quantity goes all the way down to zero. It goes to no intimacy at all sometimes, right? But I don't have a problem about discussing it, because I'm not a bender, you see. So, like, getting intimate with a woman isn't really that big a deal to me. I know I'm the ancient one. I'm of advanced age. I've had this before, and I can understand if you're a young man and you've only had a few drops of the bucket and you want to take a big gulp. But I've taken huge gulps out of that bucket, and every time it's always been not worth it. right? So to me, it's just like the theater of the vasectomy, right? Like I'm just waiting for someone to tell me they're pregnant. But I really don't have a problem with saying that I'm not intimate. It doesn't bother me at all. But for some people, it sounds like, oh, you're undesirable, whatever, man. It happens. It happens. And even if you are claiming to be intimate, you're only getting it 6 to 8 times a month. So, I mean, you're still going like what, 21 days without it? Give me a break, man. Give me a break. Even if you say you're getting it, you're barely getting it every day. You're barely getting it every week. So, none of us are getting it. A lie is the next one. If you have lied to someone, yeah, I lie to people all the time. And then I lie about my lies and then keep those lies a secret. You should be lying to people. I encourage everyone to lie. If you think people are lying to you, I'm going to tell you right now, you are sorely mistaken. You are sorely mistaken. Everyone is lying to everyone. This is the unspoken truth of humanity. For like people think that everyone is being intimate with everyone. This is not true. This is not true. You people are only getting it 6 to 8 times a month. But you're thinking about it all the time. You're obsessed with intimacy. You're thinking about it all the time, but you're not getting it more than 6 times a month, once a week max. So you spend 6 days thinking about it only to do it once out of 7 days, right? So, yeah, people, you have to lie to people. People are lying to you. People are lying to you. There's rappers talking about they change women every day. You'd be exhausted after 3 days. 3 days, that's all you get. You get a good 3 day run, maximum 3 day run. But on the second day, you'll know that you're forcing it. You're not doing it every day. Either you want to do it every day, but you don't have the capacity or the tools to do it every day. No man does. And no woman is going to give it to you every single day. Right? So, lies, man. It's all lies. And they're all lying to you. So you have to lie to them. Don't even hesitate. Don't think about it and show no mercy. You lie to the kids, you lie to the adults, you lie to the grandparents, lie to the teenagers, lie to the boys, lie to the girls, and anything in between. You lie to them. And you make it good, too. You absolutely make it good. Make your lives wonderful, man. There's nothing worse than an undetermined liar. A marriage proposal, planning to propose. Okay, so I suppose if you're keeping this a secret, so you are planning to bend the knee, right? And you want to make it a big occasion. You want to bend that knee with style and class and expenditure because it's going to be expensive. So you want to do something nice with flowers and a band, maybe a grand piano overlooking a sunset at the beach or in Paris or something like that, right? You want to bend that knee, you want to propose, right? So you want to make it special, so you'll keep it a secret. Let's move on. Mental health. Had mental health issues or dissatisfied with something about yourself other than physical appearance. For example, fears, anxiety, depression, mental disorders, or eating disorders. Yeah, people keep their mental health issues a secret, and I can understand why. I would too. I'm not saying that I have them, but I'm saying if I did, I might be inclined not to say anything about it. Because there are places where they won't let you work if you suffer from severe mental health or obvious mental health issues, right? There are some people who argue that if you've been diagnosed with a serious mental health condition, you shouldn't be driving a car, you shouldn't be owning a firearm, you shouldn't be working with kids or people or the elderly or animals. So if you have a condition and you're not sure how people will respond to it or what the consequences would be, I recommend seeking health, but I don't recommend risking your employment in order to get that help, right? You can absolutely get help privately and improve yourself, but work is really not the place for this, right? Work is a place where you should be focused on being effective and productive, right? And you should be doing your private growth privately, right? But in my opinion, you should definitely keep all these things a secret. Another woman or another man, this is a popular one. At some point, at some point was in a relationship with someone who themselves actually had a partner that is the person who was cheating on their partner with you. So, I mean, this is secrets all around. So, the man is lying to the woman that he's cheating on with is lying to the woman. If the woman is cheating, she's lying to the man about the cheating, as well as the man she's cheating with is also lying. So they're all keeping secrets from each other, as well you should. As a vasectomite, I'm not really into all of this, right? I'm not going into a relationship just so I can feel bad about being attracted to somebody else. Before the vasectomy, maybe. After the vasectomy, absolutely not. I'm not going to be standing there being told I'm a cheat just because I had an intimacy inclination to someone. No way. No, that's for the benders, man. You go tell a bender you cheated and he'll feel bad. For me, I mean, if this is a problem for you, then you need to go figure that out by yourself. You're really going to have to go figure that out by yourself. But I'm really not giving away my commitment or my loyalty or sacrificing my solitude, right? So, and it's really an issue that people won't readily see. I mean, I'm not walking into a relationship telling somebody I'm going to be with other women. I'm going to keep that a secret. But upon being discovered, I'm really not going to kowtow to somebody and say, oh, forgive me. No, no, those days are well and truly over. Get a vasectomy, man. Get a vasectomy. Other harm, hurt another person, for example, emotionally or physically hurt someone and kept this secret from somebody else. Sure, I've done this maybe as a child, got into a fight at school. My parents asked me, did you hurt that child? Obviously, I whipped him. And I said, no, no, he hit me. So, people do this all the time. Children will do this. People who get into violent altercations will do this, right? So you will be in an encounter where you hurt someone and then deny it, right? Or you would be hurt in a violent encounter and then deny that. A person's personal story is the next secret that people will keep from you, and you should probably keep from them. A specific story you keep a secret unrelated to any other category. So for I have two dynamics that I'd like you to think about. I'd like you to think about your work dynamic, right, where you relatively need to be honest about your past in terms of academic past and work history. This is the only thing you need to be honest about at work, right? Everything else you can keep as vague. So like, or if you're married and you have kids, that kind of thing, right? Because I'm not married, so I have to tell my colleagues that I'm not married, right? But this is really as far as I'm willing to go. I won't be announcing to them that I'm the Bachelor Supreme, that I'm the master of the deceptive arts. Absolutely not. Absolutely not, right? What I'll do is I'll give factual information, but not detailed. So I'll tell you when I started university and when I finished, but I won't be telling you anything that happened in between all that. And I'll tell you when I started a job and when I finished, and what position I held in that job, and for how long I held that position for, and that's about it. I won't be telling you any of my failures, right? And if they ask me for a list of challenges, I'll just go online and give them a generic list of challenges that I face, but I won't be giving extra detail. In my private life, it's all lies. I mean, you can lie about everything. Come up with a fake job, tell them you're a lawyer. Nobody's going to know what a lawyer does, right? But people kind of respect the craft, right? So you can be a lawyer and then talk about your regular job in terms of what the law requires. So if you work for a company, you can just say you're a corporate lawyer. So you work in a company and you make contracts. I don't care, whatever, right? I will say divorce lawyer because it's gonna bring me to the conversation about a vasectomy. And I'm going to recommend that you get that vasectomy. And you'll be believing that you're getting it from a person who may or may not be educated in a certain field. But I will not be giving you legal advice, right? Saying you're a lawyer is not illegal. It's not a crime. It's like saying you're an Instagram model. Give me a break, right? It's not a crime. You know, you can come up with any title that you want. Giving legal advice, now that's illegal. Now that is a crime. So you can give your opinion, right? So you can tell people, I can't give you legal advice, but I can give you my opinion from a social point of view. My opinion is get a vasectomy, right? But you can't give legal advice. Like, don't break the law. Do not break the law, right? Lying is not a crime. Lying to a judge is a crime. But lying to a counterpart, you can lie to a counterpart all day long. You can lie to your kids all day long, right? You could just say you were telling them a story, trying to teach them a lesson, giving them some type of anecdote. But it's not a crime. Lying at work, while it's not a crime, can have severe consequences. So there you lie by omission. Just don't say anything, or say only just what you need to say to keep you productive and effective, right? Don't go telling people your whole personal life story. Socially and with the counterpart and with these friends of yours, better for you to come up with a whole fake story. You tell anybody that wants to be your friend, you tell them that you're a lawyer. You never tell them where you work. You never tell them where you live. And if they find out, tell them, if they find out you're a doctor or something, right? Tell them, well, I used to be a doctor and then I changed to law, right? Or I work in a doctor's practice as a lawyer. Whatever. But don't give them any solid information. Not people who don't need to know information about you. And as for your personal story, lie. Don't let them know where you come from. Don't tell them your country. Don't tell them your nationality. Absolutely not. Not if you can avoid it. Don't tell them the city that you're from. Don't tell them where you went to school. Don't tell them where you went to university. Don't do that. Don't do that. You know what I mean? Just tell them you're a lawyer and end it right there, right? Nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna check, right? Personal story. From now on, you and me, we're lawyers. Physical discontentment or discontent, dissatisfied with something physical about yourself. So, yeah, I think people have this. Like, if you've gained a lot of weight, you might feel this. If you have a part of yourself that you don't like in your face, if you can't grow a beard or you got a funny nose, people have these things about them that, quite frankly, most people don't recognize and they don't really know, and they'll keep that a secret from you. I suggest, like, if weight is your problem, then you really need to hit the gym. Like, you really need to hit the gym. You should be exercising every day, to be honest with you, except on specific occasions. But if there's something about you physically that you don't like, some of these things might be very difficult to change. Like, if you don't like your height, like, there's really nothing much you can do about that. You could wear those shoes, those pump up shoes, but you're only getting an inch off of those, and they don't. I don't know. I don't know if they're really that effective. But if you're looking for an inch, sure. But if you're looking for 5 inches of height, you're just gonna have to let that go, man. You're just gonna have to let that grow. Let your money grow, rather, if you can't grow in height. Poor work performance, yeah. So if people aren't doing well at work or they're not doing well at school, if they're failing, right? Or students at university do this all the time. If they're failing, they try to keep that failure a secret. What you don't realize is that everyone has bad days at work and everybody has bad days at school, bad years. You can have a whole bad year, right? And people will keep that a secret. Personally, I think when things are gloomy, say nothing. Say absolutely nothing. Don't tell people anything about your tough times. And if things are good, try to say nothing either. Just try to be normal every single day. Try to not have days where you're up or you're down. Just trying to maintain normality, right? Especially if you're having a bad time at work. But if you're failing, that can be hard to keep. And if you get fired, that can be hard to keep secret. But a bad performance happens, and you just need to improve your performance in truth, right? You just need to work harder. Preference, kept secret, a preference for something, for example, not liking something that people think you like, or liking some people, or liking something people do not know you like. Preference, I'm just going to read preference again. Kept secret, a preference for something. For example, not liking something that people think you like, or liking something that people do not know you like. The counterpart does this all the time, right? So what they'll do is, if you recommend something, you'll say, let's go to a specific hotel, or let's stay in a specific hotel, let's go to a specific restaurant, let's go watch a specific movie. The counterpart will say, nah, I don't really like that. I don't really like that. And then they'll go and watch it with somebody else, or they'll recommend watching it with somebody else. These are sneaky people. Or you'll recommend going to a certain place on vacation, and they'll dismiss that. And then, like a year later, they'll go to that place on vacation. Have you seen that? If you've noticed that in your own experience, and you'll be standing there like, I recommended that and you mocked me for it. Just for you to not have a better idea of your own and do what I suggested anyway. This is why you should never listen to these people. You should never listen to the counterpart. They do this all the time, right? I myself might do this as a form of misdirection, say that I like something when in fact I could care less about it, right? And then pretend to enjoy it in a group of people that do. But many people do this to try and fit in, right? So they will, or to try and socialize. So they'll agree to doing something that really isn't in their interest, or something that they don't really like to do, just to fit in. And that's terrible. That's absolutely terrible, right? You're just wasting yours and everybody else's time. Pregnant, while pregnant, didn't tell somebody, right? This is a very common one. This is a big problem for us vasectomites. You don't need somebody coming in telling you that they're pregnant, or getting somebody pregnant and finding out that you don't know that they're pregnant because they haven't told you. They're just waiting for the right time to drop that on you, and they'll tell you they don't know how this could have happened. And quite frankly, if you're saying you don't know how this happened, you're the problem too, right? You should be getting a vasectomy to avoid this exact problem. Somebody not telling you they're pregnant, or somebody telling you that they are pregnant, right? Both a big problem. Get a vasectomy. Romantic desires. People keep this, very much a secret. I mean, all these secrets kind of have to do with emotions and biology. So, how people feel, and quite frankly, what they do with their bodies. That's really what they keep secret, right? Had romantic desires about someone while being single, for example, a crush, in love with someone, wanting relationships with a specific person while being single. Sure, this is very common, right? A secret crush. I think everybody's had that. Yeah, not every crush should be followed through on, right? You might want to keep that one to yourself. Romantic discontent, unhappy in a romantic relationship. This is the counterpart. Absolutely, they're always unhappy, right? And the thing that makes them unhappy the most is seeing you happy, right? So if you're feeling happy about something and they have nothing to feel happy about, then they get upset, right? And they'll want to take away that happiness. But when they're happy, they want you to be happy for them, right? So many men are romantically discontent. They're really not happy in these relationships. Relationships don't really serve men. Like, I can't remember ever being in a happy relationship, to the point where the people that I've broken up with, I never speak to them again. Some of them, it's been 20 years. I don't want to hear nothing about that person. I got to see who you really are, and I'm turned off. I'm completely turned off by, my exes. Like, no, nothing, nothing. Don't call me, don't text me, don't talk to me, don't say hi. I don't care, I'm not interested. You're pregnant. No one cares. No one cares, right? So, if you're in a relationship and you're unhappy, just leave, man. Just leave. There's no point in being there. There's no point in being there, period, but there's no point in being there and being unhappy too. Self harm, this is another one that has to do with what people do with their bodies. So it's really the body and the emotions, right? Self harm, physically harmed yourself. This doesn't mean like an accident, this means like you're cutting yourself, right? And people do that as either a cry for help or seeking attention or some type of self punishment or guilt. I'm really not sure why somebody would harm themselves. It never crossed my mind to hurt myself. I'm trying to preserve myself. Why would I hurt myself, right? But some people have this problem, and if you do, go ahead and get help with it, and keep it a secret. Sexual infidelity, absolutely. Committed sexual infidelity, engage in sexual relationships with someone who is not your partner. Everybody's done this, and everybody tries to keep this a secret. And when it comes out, it's always a catastrophe, right? It's always a catastrophe. But for men, it's a little bit better. Somebody cheats on you, you can just leave them and continue with your life. With a woman, you have to decide if you're forgiving that person. Most women don't forgive, they just don't have the capacity for revenge right away. So they might delay their revenge. But sexual infidelity is a big one. And then sexual orientation is, I believe, the last one. And concealed your sexual orientation and gender identity. Oh, no, no, there's still more. There's still more. I beg your pardon. Sorry. It's the last one on this page, but we still have one more. Good. I really never had a problem with this sexual orientation. I know people are about expressing themselves and coming out. I'm okay with that. It doesn't really bother me. Do what you want to do, but I wouldn't do it at the cost of my livelihood. So I wouldn't risk my job or my career or something that I really needed to survive just to tell people what I like doing in private, right? So, or my faith, my religion, my beliefs. I wouldn't risk my livelihood for my philosophy. I wouldn't risk my livelihood for the bachelor life. Although I believe in it wholeheartedly, I'm not going to let that cost me no money. Absurd. Absolutely not. Money comes first, right? So I would secure my finances first and make sure I could survive whatever backlash that I'm going to get. But if you don't think you're getting any backlash, go ahead, say whatever you want. But I wouldn't take that risk. I wouldn't take the risk with the bachelor life, with my own beliefs. I wouldn't take that risk with a vasectomy, right? And these are my truest beliefs. So, if I can sacrifice that for some money, so can you, right? Once you're rich and powerful, then you can go ahead and express yourself, right? And from a position of power. But I wouldn't do it if I risked anything. I wouldn't risk anything. Just for you to just go live your life in private anyway. Just remember, whatever you say to people, they walk away and judge you anyway, while you have to go home and live your private life anyway. So, you could do it without a speech, right? And I do it every day. I come make my speeches on this platform, express myself that way. It's safer. Sexual behavior is the next one. It's like every second point has to do with sexual behavior. I mean, we started with early termination, right? And then continued. It's just sexual behavior, sexual behavior. This is people's biggest secret, what they're doing with their bodies. So if you want to know what the counterpart's biggest secret is, it's what they've done with their body. It's not what they've eaten, what they've drank, what they've smoked. It's their sexual behavior, right? Sexual behavior that you keep secret, other than sexual orientation, for example, corn, let me say audio visual intimacy. The next one is self gratification, intimate acts of self gratification. I'm sorry, I'm trying to use euphemism to say these words. Fantasies and unusual intimate behavior. Man, I can't say these words. If I say any of these words, I'm going to get banned. And they have the whole list right here of all the things that I can't say. Sexual behavior. Let's move on before I get myself banned. Social discontent, dislike a friend or unhappy with current social life. This was me. I absolutely disliked my friends. And to the point where I knew these were the best friends I would ever get, but I just got to the point where I was just not liking them for the people that they were, and I don't think they liked me for the person that I truly am. I'm an absolutely selfish person, and they were all knee benders. And they're all trying to get me to bend the knee. In fact, they all did bend the knee, and I haven't spoken to any of them in years, right? So I know exactly what it's like to have friends and then just not share nothing in common with them. And this can cause an unhappy social life, right? It can absolutely do that. But ultimately, the bachelor life, I found my place, found my peace, and these social interactions are nothing more than theater to me. Really, it's nothing. There's nothing there for me. These friendships, these relationships, I really can't. Planning a surprise for someone other than a marriage proposal. Sure, I've done that. I've planned surprises, regretted it. I'm not big into surprises. I don't actually really like surprises. That's just an indication of secrecy, right? Somebody can put a surprise on you, it indicates they can do worse. But people like to plan surprises and people like to be surprised. Gifts, that kind of thing, sure, and they'll keep that a secret. Theft, stolen something from someone or someplace, yeah, any crime, you want to keep that a secret. If you've committed a crime, again, stop. Don't commit that crime again. You will get caught. And then also, don't tell anyone. If you got away with it, just don't tell anyone. Don't go turn yourself in, right? Because they'll punish you for that crime, and they won't forgive you for your honesty, right? So just keep that to yourself. Trauma, had a traumatic experience other than the above. So again, we're talking about what people did with their bodies. So they might have had a traumatic, violent, and extreme experience and not tell you about it, which is fair. I don't expect people to, meet me and tell me all of their traumatic issues. In fact, I don't need to know it all. But if you're getting married to somebody, you might want to know that. Violate trust, when was violated somebody's trust, but not by a lie. This is lying by omission. For example, by snooping, revealing information about someone, gossiping, breaking or losing something that belongs to someone without telling them. Okay, yeah, this happens a lot. The counterpart does this, but they do this on purpose. So they'll do something to sabotage you and then not tell you that they've done the thing. So I had a counterpart do this to me, and I don't think she realized that the thing that was happening had never happened before. And I mentioned that, I've been in this apartment for X amount of years, and none of this stuff ever happened before you arrived. and it didn't happen again after you left. So you're the common denominator. You were causing these problems, right? The counterpart does this, but you can do this too. You can set them up and destroy something of theirs and act like you completely don't know. I mean, those heels, just snap them right off. That handbag, just rip that handle right off. You know, don't even like cut it in a way that can be repaired. You gotta rip it off in a way that it looks like a dog bit it, right? That way they can't replace it. And then keep it a secret. And then keep it a secret. Work cheating, cheated or did something improper at work or school, or having lied to get a job or into a school. Again, I don't recommend doing things like this. I don't recommend lying at work. I don't recommend forging your qualifications. I don't recommend lying to get a job, because even if they hire you and they find out that you deceive them and they don't tell you, that's a deception on its own. So now you're walking into a deceptive situation with people you deceived, and they don't trust you and they know that they can't trust you, but they need the labor, right? So I suggest, just if you want impressive qualifications, just get impressive qualifications. Do it over time, do it over distance learning, but don't lie about your qualifications. Like, they'll fire you at the worst time, right? They won't fire you at the time that's convenient for you. So they'll fire you at your worst time. Grades, I suppose you can get your grades up and move on, but you should be learning. Learning it has an inherent value, right? The more you know, the more powerful you can be. Knowledge is truly power. And myself, I'm avid learner. I consider myself a thief of knowledge, right? And a thief of information and a thief of ideas. So I'll absolutely steal your ideas, not tell you, and use them for myself, right? And I do it all the time. I don't have a problem with that, right? So learning is really something that I don't always enjoy, because not everything you learn is like useful or enjoyable, but it is something that I have found a use for, right? In a long diatribe of ideas, and in an hour's worth of brainstorming, you might come out with one or two really brilliant ideas. And sometimes you need an hour to get to that really great idea. So it's always worth it to stick around and get those ideas. And our final one: work discontent, dissatisfied with your situation at work, at school. I think a lot of people are dissatisfied with their employment situation, and the economy shows that. And they'll keep that a secret to their family. So they'll tell their family that they're happy at work, or that they're performing well at work, when they really aren't. And I'm not really that kind of person. Right. I'm not really a person who's discontent at work. And I know I talk about work and the work dynamic all the time, but it's really not something where I come back and say, oh, I hate my job. Yes, there's tough times, but I don't really hate my job. I really don't. I'm in a job where it suits my style of work. It suits my personality. I have the knowledge for it and I have the skills for it. What am I? I'm a divorce lawyer. So, I'm ready for the job and I'm actually pretty good at it, right? I'm not a divorce lawyer, but my job that I do, I'm actually pretty good at it. And I'm actually productive, and I can see the productivity daily, weekly, monthly, annually, right? I see the growth and development. So I'm really content with the work that I do. But some people aren't. In the same job, doing the same thing, they really don't like the work. And you can see that, man. You see it in their results, you see it in their personality, you see it in everything that they do, and especially the money that they make. Because they're not happy in the job, so the money feels like it's never enough, right? You feel like you should be making more money doing something else somewhere else. Whereas for me, I know that this is the money you make from this kind of job. And in fact, there are some people that I believe for the job, they're making very good money, but some are making more than others. But ultimately, yeah, people won't tell you that they're not happy at work, right? And like I said, if the situation is gloomy, just don't say anything to people, right? Because it just makes them undermine you. If they know that you're having problems at work and you're not killing it and you're not successful, they can undermine you. So even if you're not making a lot of money at work, the fact that you're good at the job and you're killing it is an indication that eventually you're going to make money. Eventually you're going to be successful, right? So if you are successful at work, you might want to keep that to yourself too. But if you're not happy at work, that's an indication of failure or imminent failure, right? So people might not want to hear that. So you want to keep that to yourself. Don't tell people bad news. It makes you look weak in their eyes. And I know making yourself look strong in people's eyes sort of brings upon a challenge. It makes people want to beat you, right? And they get a certain pride from defeating you, even with the smallest and most insignificant things. So you do kind of make yourself a target, but you do just as much damage to yourself if you are already always telling people about your weaknesses and where you fall down. So I wouldn't do that either. And one thing that would absolutely keep a secret is a vasectomy. You definitely need to get your vasectomy. You need to freeze your sperm. Keep that a secret too. Add that to the list of things that people are keeping a secret, because you can see, like, this is an exhausting list. I did feel a little bit of tiredness going through this list and just realizing just how many things people are keeping secret. And effectively, they're keeping everything a secret from you. People are lying to you all the time. They are lying to you all the time. Your family's lying to you. Your friends are lying to you. Your colleagues are absolutely lying to you. Your counterpart is lying to you. And if you think they're not, then you are lying to yourself. And now the circle of deception is complete. Better for you to lie to them than to lie to yourself. I mean, you're using your best lies on yourself, right? And one of the things is if your counterpart is unfaithful. What you need to do is you need to plan an exit. If you can't leave right away, you need to plan an exit. And you need to have that exit ready to execute. And when you go, you got to go in such a way that it's permanent. So the counterpart knows that, oh yeah, you definitely left and you're out, right? But when you do leave, prioritize a vasectomy first, so that if you do come back into these games, you're playing from a position of advantage and strength. Guys, get a vasectomy. This is my message every day. And protect that vasectomy with lies. Don't tell anyone about your vasectomy. Not a single soul. Not your mom, not your dad, not your wife, not your kids. Nobody. Right? You hide that vasectomy and you use it. You use misdirection. You ask for a DNA test. You ask for all kinds of things, dates, and you question all kinds of things, but you don't say you had a vasectomy. Just make a declaration, I'm not the father of this kid, and watch the theater of life unfold, right? Watch her claim you are the father, and then you just stand there denying it. And the more she claims it, the more you deny it. And then you ask for a DNA test. And she'll tell you, yeah, you're going to get that DNA test in 8 months. And you just wait for the theater of life to unfold. And when that DNA test comes out, it's exactly as you thought it would be. You are not the father. Those are the best words you'll ever hear in your life, right? And if you think you won't need a DNA test, if you get a vasectomy, you're absolutely going to need one. If she says you're the father and you say, no, I got a vasectomy, they're going to demand a DNA test anyway to prove it. Because they won't be able to tell just by looking. So you're going to need to prove it anyway. And then when you do, the problem is now they know you have a vasectomy, right? So now they can sabotage that. But if you just ask for a DNA test, they won't know nothing. And that's really what you want. You want to keep your best kept secret kept secret. Just don't trust anyone and lie. Lie to them. right? Become the master of the deceptive arts. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. I appreciate it, and I always will. I am the Ancient One, and I am the Bachelor Supreme. Have a nice day.